Hello and welcome to the CircuitPython Weekly for July 1st, 2019. I'm Scott Shawcroft and I go by Tan Newt Online. I'm one of the folks that Adafruit pays to work full-time on CircuitPython. CircuitPython is a beginner-friendly coding environment for microcontrollers. It's really easy to get started, and that's what we're going for. We have this meeting every week on Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, unless there is a U.S. holiday, and then we'll usually bump it to a different day. If we do bump it, we have a CircuitPython text channel on our Discord that we will post notes to. If you want to get notifications about meeting stuff, ask us to add you to the CircuitPythonista role so that you get all those pings. We're happy to do that. As I said, we have our Discord. To join the Discord, you can go to adafru.it/discord. That'll get you on there. We are in the text channel for CircuitPython all week, and then we're in the voice channel on Monday mornings. These meetings are recorded, so beware that you are being recorded. Both the text channel is being recorded, and the voice channel is as well. They get posted to youtube.com/Adafruit. They also get the audio split out and posted as podcasts. So if you have a favorite podcast program, check there for the latest CircuitPython weekly meeting stream. Everybody is welcome to join in. The meeting is run in 5 parts. We first have community news after this intro, and then we have the status of CircuitPython and the state of CircuitPython and its libraries, which somebody was nice enough to copy in for me because I just realized I hadn't. After that, we'll do hug reports, which is done as a round robin. So we'll go through everybody who's on the list in the audio channel and give everybody a chance to say what's going on. Thank you, Katney. So if you don't want to participate in that, you can say you're lurking and we'll skip over you. If you don't have a microphone, just let us know you're text only, and I will read off what you either put in the CircuitPython text channel or in the notes. The notes doc was linked to just a bit before. And if you want to participate fully over audio, we'll call on you and we'll let you have a chance. After we do hug reports, we'll do status updates, and we do it as a round robin the same way. And then lastly, we do in the weeds section. So if any topics came up that we wanted to discuss further, we'll talk about those in the weeds, and those can get pretty technical and detailed, which is very interesting. And I recommend you stay till the end. If you don't want to listen to it, this meeting does tend to run about an hour. If you don't want to listen to the whole thing, the recording will have notes and time codes, so you can skip around to the parts that interest you most. And with that, I think I remembered everything. And let's kick it over to Phil for community news.
Hello, Scott. How are you doing today?
Hello. Good.
Okay, first up, the Microsoft interns in Vancouver have another survey. This one's even shorter. You don't have to put any personal information in. It's called Project Pacifica, and it's all the things that we could all ask them for to put in Visual Studio that has something to do with Python on hardware. So I just put the link in the chat, and it'll also be in our newsletter, and there's also a blog post. So if you've ever wanted to have the best editor ever for Python on hardware, speak up. Here's your chance. Next up, thank you everybody who subscribes to the Python on Hardware newsletter, also called the Python on Microcontrollers newsletter. We have up to 6,000 subscribers. Since 2016, in November, we've published 129 newsletters. Thanks to the folks who contribute. We're getting pull requests and more on GitHub for news. And many of you who are in the sidebar, as I look at the names, have been featured in the newsletter. So thanks for just publishing stuff. If you at Adafruit or at CircuitPython, that is a way for us to see all sorts of things and get a newsletter. Next up, congratulations to Katney, who's going to be keynoting at PyOhio, and that's July 27th to 28th. I put a link there. And in our newsletter, there's also the one that's coming out tomorrow, there's also a PyPortal countdown for PyOhio. So I'm noticing a trend. If you have a conference you're going to do a PyPortal project to do a countdown. Next up, Big Ink wasn't in print. I mean, digital print. One of my favorite sites, Mouthverse Python. Scott was interviewed over there. Check it out. And next up on the news, as I cut and paste here, congratulations to Mike Barella, who they had a bunch of books on opensource.com, and one of them was getting started with Circuit Playground Express. It's
Nice.
the summer reading list. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So out of all the books in the world of like open source and hardware and software, getting started with Circuit Playground Express, which has a great chapter on Circuit Python, is in that list. Lamore was on the Embedded FM podcast. We've been wanting to do this for years, and the timing finally worked out. And it's called Skateboard Tricks. And for those of you who tune into our community chats some more, once in a while you'll hear one of us talk about how a lot of good communities and good software development is sometimes like skateboarding tricks, where we're all in the skate park and we're doing cool tricks and we're all building off those cool tricks together. And it's a very nice way of being able to work together and just like, oh, that was a cool trick, I'm gonna do my trick. Oh, that's neat, I'm gonna do your trick and I'm gonna add my tricks to it. So neat analogy for having fun in communities and
Mm-hmm.
software development. 8.8 is CircuitPython Day, so we have plenty of time to do things. There's at least a couple events planned, and I'm still working on some fun merchandise and more that we will be giving away, swag, for 8.8. And then we have 2 interviews. This has been a busy week. I think everyone vacations and visits and has conferences in June and July in New York City. So Naomi, who's the chair of the Python Foundation, and Nina, who just keynoted PyCon and is well known in all the Python circles. Lamore interviewed both. So check out those videos. We just posted them. And Nina just posted up her Python 2.7 countdown as well. So that's another countdown project. And then last up, the community over on Reddit is now up to 500 people. So we have, or at least try to have a nice community presence wherever people are. So on Discord, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, pretty much anywhere where people hang out, we like to have something for them if they like Python on hardware, specifically CircuitPython. And thanks to anyone who subscribes to that. Usually we put the news and things that are in the newsletter and blog posts on Reddit. There's some people that are starting to use it as a community place where they're asking questions, and we get to those usually right away too. So if you're on Reddit, stop by and subscribe. And that is the community news.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Phil.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have the state of CircuitPython. This is a statistics overview of the health of the project. Project is both, we think of it in kind of 2 parts. One is the core and one is the libraries. They are both critical to what CircuitPython is, so we'll go over all of that. But first, let's talk overall. Overall, we had 26 pull requests merged from 11 different authors, which is awesome. New folks on this list are Brett Cannon, who's also Python Steering Council and Python Core Dev, which is awesome. Alex Hagerman is new as well, and then the other 9 folks are what I consider regulars, so thank you to everybody who contributed. We had 9 reviewers for those 26 pull requests, which is awesome. Typically, it's less than that, so thank you to everybody who did the reviews. Issues-wise, we had 12 closed by 6 people and 10 open by 9 people, so we're net down 2, which is awesome. And as we can see, we had 6 people and 9 people for each of those as well, so getting more people involved, both closing and opening issues, which is great. Overall, we got another stable release out the door, probably the last 4.0 stable release, and we got a second beta out for 4.1, so hopefully get 4.1 stable and out the door soonish. Probably not this week, but soon. And then I think we'll see a 5.0 beta with all of the goodness that Dan's been doing. So all things are good, and we'll keep on rocking. And that's overall. For the core, We had 7 pull requests merged from 3 different authors, and Alex Hagerman was one of those new folks. We had 4 reviewers, myself, Dan, Sedacious, and Summersoft. We have 7 open pull requests that are listed in the notes. Won't read them off here. We had 6 closed issues by 2 people and 3 open by 3 people. So we're net down this week, which is great, for a total of 179 open issues. And there's a link to all the open issues there. We have 6 active milestones. No issues are missing a milestone, which is great. We have 0 open issues for 4.1.0, which is also really awesome. We have 42 open issues for 4.x, which will probably turn into a 5. We'll roll those all into 5.x if we do the 2 open issues for 5.x earlier. And then we also have 2 bugs for 4.x.x, which is bug fixes on the 4.0 stuff. So that's kind of where we stand in terms of issues and milestones. We have stats of downloads by board. I will not read those off by board, but I will say that I released both the stable and the unstable last week. So these numbers are quite low, but we had 381 total 4.0.2 downloads, and for 4.1.0 beta 1 we had 48. So they were basically released right after each other on the same day, so you can see that our stable releases definitely get picked up quicker. And then we also have download stats by language, which I will not read off. And now I'll kick it over to Kattni for library update.
Excellent. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
All right. So we had 19 pull requests merged by 9 authors, including one of the new people, Brett Cannon, and 7 reviewers, which is great. We're always looking for people to review. It's a crucial part of the process, and super great when people are getting involved. We currently have 31 open pull requests. Some of these are long-term, some of these are new. Some of these have already been taken care of, in fact. So if you are interested in getting involved in CircuitPython, reviewing pull requests is an excellent way to do it. You don't really have to understand the code per se. There's plenty of other things to review, syntax type stuff, even typos, which we miss, and is always super helpful. So if you want to get involved, feel free to check that out. We had 6 issues closed by 5 people and 7 opened by 6 people. Just like we were saying earlier, it's excellent to see that many people involved. That's almost 1 per person, which is excellent. Which leaves us with 113 open issues. Another great way to get involved is to take a look at the issues and see whether anything interests you, and possibly get involved that way. If you go to circuitpython.org/library/contributing, you'll find all the open pull requests, all the open issues across all of the library repos, and a list of library infrastructure issues, which is where we have a standard that we try to keep the libraries up to, which makes maintaining them much easier and more efficient. However, as we build that standard, previous libraries may not meet it. So it's a list of sort of library level issues that are available to fix. Some of them are easier than others. Some of them are stuff that we can only do internally, but it's another great way to get involved. If you go to that page as well, there should be a link to, we have a guide on contributing with Git and GitHub to CircuitPython, which is our general preferred workflow. If you have your own, that's also excellent. But if you don't and you're new to things, or you'd like to know how it is that we do things, check out that guide. It's a great way to get an idea of, just to get an idea of what we're doing when we are working with updating the libraries and updating the CircuitPython core. And if you ever have any questions, you can find us in Discord. We're happy to help you get started. We want you to be a part of this, and we will do everything we can to help you get to that point. The notes also contain new libraries and updated libraries. I will read off the new libraries. We have the VCNL 4040 cursor control and Turtle this week. And that is where we're at with the libraries.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kattni. Okay,
You are welcome.
let's do hug reports. Hug reports are a chance to say thank you to folks for the work that they've been doing. We do this as a round robin, as I was saying earlier. So let us know if you're lurking, text only, or if you. Otherwise, we expect you to chime in when we call on you. I should also note that if you are unable to make the meeting, feel free to drop notes in the notes doc early, and I will read them off as well. But put a note in there that you're like not in the meeting so that we know. And this is done alphabetically, starting from the person who's hosting. So I'm last, and I will start us off to show everyone how it's done. First and foremost, I wanted to say thank you to Deshipu for the teeny font stuff. I haven't merged it yet, but I saw it go by last night, and I think that's super neat. I just need to take a little bit closer look at it, and then we should be able to get that pulled in. So that looks really cool. Thanks to Mike from Mouse vs. Python for having me as PyDev of the Week this week. I was very honored to get that email a few weeks ago asking me to do the interview. Thanks to Dan for helping Lucian ramp up. Excited to see us really refine our porting process so that we can scale up to more ports, which would be super cool. And cheers to Lucian for taking that on as well. Thanks to Summersoft for the Travis PR review. And that was to do the timeout sorts of stuff. And then lastly, just a shout out to Mike B, who's really a lot, like doing a ton behind the scenes in terms of guides and Twitter and Reddit. So Mike is like very involved in our reddit.com/r/CircuitPython. So if you're a Reddit user, definitely check that out. And let's give Mike B props for really making that what it is. And with that, that's my that's my hug reports. Let's circle around and go to Brent.
Hello. My hug reports this week are PHPC on GitHub for preliminary work on the ESP32 SPI MQTT. It's the first attempt at doing an MQTT client in CircuitPython, and it took a lot of work off of my plate, and it's awesome. And Arturo for cursor control testing last week and producing one of what I think is the coolest featherwing out there right now. And Deshipu for assistance with button press detection, which was added to cursor control.
Nice. All right. Thank you, Brent. Carter is lurking, so we'll go to C. Grover, who is text only. I will read it off. Group hug to the team and community today. I'm especially appreciative for the published works of Dave Estells, Kattni, Sedacious, and Lady Ada as work begins on a custom CircuitPython board definition. Very cool. Next up is Charles. Are you around, Charles?
I was lurking for hug reports because I'm in the middle of something.
Okay.
I'll be back shortly.
Okay.
Thank you.
No worries. All right, let's go to Dan.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. There we go. Okay, thanks. So thanks to Scott for doing 2 releases in one day, which is some kind of record, I think. Sorry.
I think it is too, actually.
402 and 401 beta 1. That's great. There was some really nice work he did on checking for corrupt MPY files, which does happen occasionally, especially when the file system gets messed up, and it's nice to check as opposed to crash or something like that. That's very good. Thanks to Deshipu for continuing to work on his own display stuff, on the microstage stuff, and on other things having to do with displays and fonts. That's really helpful. As we already mentioned, Arturo has this really great BlackBerry featherwingish kind of thing, and has been making a bunch of suggestions about things now that he's using CircuitPython again more, and he's finding bugs and suggesting enhancements. And then thanks to Here Effect, which is Lucian Copeland, who's working on an STM32F4 CircuitPython port, and he can say more in status reports about what he's up to. All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. Okay, let's go to Deshipu.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Dan, you're still unmuted.
Okay. So thank you to Lady Ada and Mike Varela for reviewing and improving the land guide for the stage library, and thank you for the whole team for the recent releases. Yay, us.
Awesome. Sweet. Okay. Higher Effect is lurking for hug reports, so we go to Katney.
Hello. So I want to give a hug report to Sedacious for covering the forums this week while I get caught up from being out for 2 days last week. To Maker Melissa for testing debug SPI for me. I wrote debug library for SPI, but I can only test it so much. And Melissa has been doing so much with SPI stuff that she's going to be able to do that much better than me. So thank you so much for that. Another thank you to Sedacious for catching 2 issues with the VCNL 4040 lib I wrote. I did not know that one of the things was an enable bit versus a disable bit. So that was messed up. And then also interrupts were clearing a bunch of stuff when we need to be able to remember a bunch of stuff. And so he wrote all that as well. So thank you very much for that. To the community moderators on Discord for always keeping up with Discord. Thank you for everything you do. And to Nina and Roy for continued help and support with my keynote preparation.
Nice. All right. We're going to circle back to Higher Effect, who wanted to say something. Is your mic working or not? Okay. I'll just read off what you said. Higher Effect said, big thanks to Dan for all the help this week. And anything else? Higher Effect is typing. Type. Okay. I will read it off when it comes up. King or North is lurking, so let's see. Higher Effect says Dan was invaluable help in getting spun up on CircuitPython fundamentals. Sweet. Thank you. And let's go to Maker Melissa.
Hi. Okay. Hug report to Lady encouraging me to double check my SPI circuit. I was working on the Dragon board, so it's working correctly. And hug report to get me for writing the debug SPI tool.
Nice. Thank you, Melissa. Let's go to Roy.
My hug reports are to Scott for his code review on PyPixelBuff and reminding me of the things that I had written down on a piece of paper, which I only recently found when cleaning my office.
I know what that
I
is.
took a photo this time, and I was on my phone, but I have to remember where on my phone.
You should like heart it or whatever.
I should, or I should just like transcribe it into notes or Todoist or something.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
And then hug report to Katney for helping me solve my Pylint issues. You have to use Python 3.6, not 3.7 when running Pylint for CircuitPython libraries. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
all right.
and
Thanks.
that's all I've got.
Thank you, Roy. All right. Let's go to Sedacious.
Hey, so first off, I got a hug report for Katney for reviewing and helping getting my VCNL 4040 changes merged and bundled. Another one to Isaac at Adafruit HQ for testing my NeoPixel adapters and little connection-y bits, PCBs, whatever they're called. That was very useful because he's got access to all the stuff and can actually test it out where I have to try and make sure I have all the pieces. Another one to Brent for an amazingly useful tip on how to get multiple copies of Eagle open on a Mac. If you've used a Mac, you know that opening multiple copies of a thing is not straightforward. So he showed me a command that I can run on the command line that will open as many copies as I want. And I will post that in the notes or in the chat, just so people can see that.
Mhm.
Another one for Katney for leaking me a copy of debug I2C that I used to debug some I2C. And finally, to the Discord mods for being moderate in their moderation of moderately important moderation tasks.
Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, no.
All right. Thanks, Sedacious.
That's it.
And last but not least, we have Summersoft.
Hey. So just a hug to everybody involved in getting the releases out last week. It's always nice to see that cycle to continue. A hug to Shipu for helping on quite a few display and microstage questions I saw on Discord. And then just a group hug to everybody.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for those hug reports. Let's move on to status updates. Status updates are done in the same way. They're also done as a round robin. Status updates are a brief chance for you to talk about what you've been working on and what you plan on working on in the coming week or so. This is really good to just keep everybody on the same page about what's going on where, and it can also be a really good chance for you to say, hey, like, when I last did this, like, here's a tip or trick that I had to figure out last time I was working on it. So, yeah, no wrong answers. So first, for myself, I got back from Teardown last week on Monday and got caught up after that. Met a whole lot of awesome people there, hoping to see CircuitPython on more devices as time goes by, which would be really cool. Later in the week, I fixed a couple outstanding bugs and then released both a new stable release 4.02 and a new unstable release 4.10 beta 1. So hopefully folks saw those pop up and have been testing those. That would be great. This week I have a bit of a weird schedule because in the US we have our Independence Day holiday on Thursday, so I'm planning on kind of visiting my parents in the middle of the week. So I will be working kind of odd hours, but I plan on working this week, so my like 24-hour rule and responding things kind of applies. So just be aware that it's going to be a little bit weird. And what I hope to work on is actually wrapping up all the display work. We made huge progress, especially with the speed ups, but there's some niggly things that we need to wrap up for displays. So I'm going to come up with a list of what those things are. I will broadcast that out, and then I will just plow through them, hopefully. And once I'm on the other side of displays, which may be a few weeks, hope to do BLE workflow stuff for some more BLE wireless awesomeness towards the kind of Q3 part of the year. And that's it for me. Let's go to Brent.
Hello. Last week I finished up work on a cursor control library. It's a really useful library for adding a mouse cursor to your gamer UI if you're using a Pi badge or a Pi gamer, but Arturo also showed that you can use it on your own hardware. It handles it via like a really high-level management class, and I would happily take pull requests for other types of hardware aside from Adafruit hardware. Brought up some new boards at the factory on Friday, and started work on mini MQTT. Jerry's not here; he'd be so excited. It's a MQTT library for CircuitPython. BeachBC did a really good port of MicroPython's uMQTT library. This is an expansion on it and uses currently the ESP32 SPI library, but I'm designing it to be agnostic to what hardware is being used, so we can use it with Ethernet, maybe LoRa down the road. Like, I'm kind of really wrapping it kind of high level. And I've added some unique and useful features to it, like you can define custom method handlers for MQTT topics. So if you subscribe to the servo motor topic on Adafruit.io, you could call what you want that topic specifically to do within your code.py with like a servo angle method to set the angle, stuff like that. And then, like, that's not usually done with MQTT clients, but CircuitPython and Python kind of like opens it up a little bit more. And then I'm kind of like doing a lot of error checking right now. Like the next 2 days is just going to be me reading through the spec because MQTT doesn't do a lot of error checking, and I want to make sure that's done before I release it and people are asking about it.
Okay.
And then just API work and hopefully releasing it later this week along with guides and updates to our existing libraries like Adafruit.io, CircuitPython, and Azure IoT for CircuitPython.
Awesome. Sounds super cool. Thanks, Brent. And yeah, keep pushing on that stuff. It's really neat. Okay, Carter is lurking, so we'll go to C. Grover, who is text only. C. Grover says, wrapped up the design for a string car racer M0 Express with motor controller board. It was inspired by Diastel's Trinket M0 Hackspress mod and Sedacious's custom M4 boards for CircuitPython. Oshpark panelized the board today, so as a primarily hardware person, I'll probably need additional help with the board definition soon. Taking a break from CircuitPython for a few days to wrap up some woodworking, landscaping, and in-studio tracking. It will be hard to resist slipping in some late-night code design for the precision waveform generator and corrosion monitor projects, though. Awesome. Thank you, C. Grover. Let's go to Charles. Are you back?
Yep.
Sweet.
Wasn't expecting to be, but luckily I started working suddenly.
Perfect.
Anyway, my keyboard integration is coming along very nicely. It's still got a few little bugs that, it sends out the wrong message at the wrong time. So I'm having fun, fun with that, but I'll get that debugged. So that's as far as I've gotten this week.
Nice. Thanks for letting us know.
Just want to let you know I probably won't be there next week because I have to travel.
Okay. Cool. Well, we'll be here when you get back.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, let's go to Dan.
Okay. So I did a bunch of pull request reviews as usual. I've gotten BLE Central working.
Yay.
So that's typically what would run on a host computer, like a phone or even a regular PC or something like that. But that means that now two NRF 52A40s could talk to each other and exchange information easily. And I just have it working in the simplest way, and I'm going to get BLE UART working so that they can both talk. For instance, the BLE UART protocol that we use for the Bluefruit app. Let's see. So I've got to keep working on that. While I've been doing all this, there's been a lot of low-level cleanup and fixing various bugs inside BLE, so that a lot of times what I'm doing is revising rather than adding new functionality. So the last thing to do is to add a FIFO. There's already one on the peripheral side, and I need to add one on the central side so that you can send characters and have them buffered up with the UART service. And then I hope to make an alpha or beta release with this new functionality to try out, and there'll be a corresponding new version of the Adafruit CircuitPython BLE library because it needs to change for some of the new API changes I've made. Okay.
Cool. Sounds awesome. Yeah, maybe we could have 3 parallel. We could have 2 unstable releases.
Right. When we think of something, what will 6 be? We'll think of something right away.
Oh yeah, that's fine. It's just numbers. Okay, let's go to Deshipu.
Okay, so the Learn Guide is published. I'm really happy about that. Hopefully people will start making some games with that. I'm also preparing for the EuroPython workshops. They will be next week, so not much time left. I started to think about how to approach the monochrome displays in Display.io. I have a device already on which I can test that. So I think, I'm not sure I will have time for that, but I think I will try to cobble together something, just hack it directly in the supervisor in
Okay.
there, and see how that works, and then we can think about how to actually integrate it
Okay.
into the rest of things.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it too.
Yeah. Okay. So that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thanks to Shipu so much. Let's go to Hierophect. No mic. It's always like the first time you try to do it, like Discord never likes you. All right, I'm gonna. No worries. I'll read you off, and we can experiment with the mic offline as well, or outside the meeting as well. So the notes say ramp up on. Yeah, for the STM32 port, ramp up on the structure and targeting a working REPL. Identifying unattended coupling between essential core files and non-essential modules, and hacking away at weird linker issues. But do have a successful build working. So making really good progress. I think, Dan and I were talking about how to make porting easier, and so Hierophect is definitely being dumped into the deep end of CircuitPython hacking. So good job, keep it up, and you'll get it going. Okay, let's go on to Kattni.
All right. So last week, updated the newsletter, the CircuitPython or Python on Hardware newsletter, and the template with upcoming events. Tested debug SPI, which I managed to write and actually worked.
Yay!
As far as I know, worked in my testing. That's why I have Melissa testing it. I tested a mini QR example update. The example was designed for the way that Display IO worked previously, and so did not function currently and needed to be integrated into PyBadger. So that was updated by Lamore, and I tested that. Updated a few guides with new pinouts diagrams. Filed an issue for CircuitPython hard fault handler crash that I ran into. That's been fixed, which is good. I continued work on PyBadger, partially implemented the quote business card function, which the idea originally was to have an image of whatever, your face, your company logo, something, and then display something over it, like an email address, for example. However, I'm running into issues with displaying text over a bitmap. So I'll talk about that in a minute. And then QR generation was implemented. I PR'd PyGamer for testing over the weekend. It still needs documentation, or rather, I did that on Wednesday before taking 2 days off. And so that needs to get finished up this week, but it's in a fairly working state. So this week, Library Monday limited edition, which is to say that I have some other priorities that I will be getting started on. So if there's anything urgent with libraries, PRs, that sort of thing, please feel free to ping me and I will see what I can do. However, I will not be doing my standard sweep and that sort of thing today. So the priority is the PyBadger guide. Going to go through how to use the PyBadger library, how to change the name on the badge, how to generate your own QR code with data that you want, and how to display an image. We're writing it as though Blinka is attending a conference. So Blinka is going to a Python conference and we'll have the best badge.
Yay.
Need to get some pictures of how it looks. And the idea is it's written for event participants to make it easy to pick up a PyBadge, and then ta-da, you have a badge. I need to finish documenting PyBadger. I'm going to publish a release. I don't intend to bundle it until it's been more tested, but I want to do a release to get the assets out there, and then I will post it to the CircuitPython channel to have people test it, and specifically I need to talk to Melissa about testing it, so we can talk about that later. I need to gather together my code that was not working for displaying text over a bitmap, because I ran in circles with that and apparently it might be a bug. And it's not just me. I need to get caught up from 2 days off last week. There's a couple of things I need to add to read the docs. I'll be continuing keynote prep. And then there's a host of things that once I'm done with the PyBadger guide and updating the PyBadger documentation that I will be doing, I need to finish documenting the debug I2C and SPI libraries, add some stuff to a couple guides, finish some blog posts, processing some photos, add some pinouts to a couple other guides, do up a product guide, and there's an outstanding PR for a library that needs to go into the community bundle versus being part of the main bundle. So that needs to get sorted out. But those are all lower priority things that will be gotten to when they are gotten to. And that is where I'm at.
Awesome. Always doing so much, Katney. Great job. Okay. Let's go to King or North's lurking, so we're going to Maker Melissa.
Hello. Okay, so last week I finished the 96 boards Dragon Board 10C guide. And I wrote up a blog post about it. I finished a write-up for the Raspberry Pi, and I added a couple boards to the website for the CircuitPython boards.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked on testing the debug SPI for Katney, but I have to talk to you about that because I didn't quite get it working. So this week I'm going to test a Learn Guide PR, and I'm gonna work on fixing the display installer script for the Raspberry Pi because I guess it doesn't work with the newest one. I'm not sure if it's Buster that's the problem or if it's the hardware, so I have to look into that. I need to get some attention to the RA8875 CircuitPython library because I discovered that is not working with the current version. And I'm going to start working on one of several new guides. I'm not sure which yet. And probably be adding some more boards to Blinka.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. And I think Charles asked, is there a version of Blinka for Raspberry Pi 4B? And I think you did that last week, right?
Actually, it was Lady that did that one.
All right.
And it does work.
Sweet. So the answer is yes. We have Blinka for Raspberry Pi 4. Thanks to Melissa and Lady Ada. Okay, let's go to Roy.
So currently, like right now during the meeting, I'm working on fixing up PyPixelBuff so that it can get merged, which includes dealing with a bunch of lint failures, as well as switching over to string-based UPP or byte order stuff, so that we can make the total memory footprint and code size smaller, both in CircuitPython and in PyPixelBuff. And I'm hoping to actually finish that this week. That means I'll also have to work on changes to underscore pixelbuff in CircuitPython to harmonize it with the PyPixelBuff changes.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess I'll also have to update both of the replacement for NeoPixel and DotStar when I get to that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm staring at a giant stack of Adafruit hardware that, like the PyGamer that came in the most recent Adabox, I really want to play with, and all I've done is assemble it and turn it on, and wish I had time.
Make the time. You can do it.
I'm trying.
Do PyPixelBuff next week. It's fine. Just play with PyGamer this week. Oh, Roy, you muted.
Yeah, oh, sorry. That was all I had for so far.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was thinking you were on the currently section still. Cool.
Oh, I sort of merged the two of them together.
All right, no worries. Awesome. Thanks, Roy. Let's go to Sedacious.
Howdy, howdy. So let's see. Last week I worked on the VCNL 40 drivers for CircuitPython and Arduino. As Kat, you mentioned, I found a bug in one of the attributes and then changed how the interrupt handling was going to work, or does work in the CircuitPython driver. I will paste a link to the commit that I put in that changes the interrupt work. I meant it to be as kind of a proposal for how we might solve the same problem in the future, and that problem being interrupt status registers that store the status for multiple interrupts and that clear when they are read. We've run into a couple of times where, if not handled correctly, you can lose state that was stored there. So what I did is seems like a reasonable approach to addressing that, basically caching it. So yeah, I'll post a link to that. That seems to work. Also did the Arduino driver. I shipped both, got them both distributed however they are distributed, PyPy and all that fun stuff. Let's see what else. I also worked on a V of the VCNL 4040 that adds quick connectors. Pretty straightforward. We're going to be doing that for a bunch of the simpler I2C breakouts going forward, because people seem to like it. So that's going out. Should be back from fab soon. I worked on bringing up the new Rev B of the OLED friend that I'm using to test sweet little OLED panels we got. So it's Rev B is working great. Fixed the problem that was in Rev A. So that's always nice when you actually fix the things you're trying to fix. That is going to be turned into a bonnet. So that's one of the main things I'll be working on this week. I also shipped off a breakout for a new Wi-Fi module that we're going to be testing out and likely using going forward. So that's off the fab, should be back this week. So that was last week. As I mentioned, this week I'm working on the OLED bonnet. We've got the DS3502 Rev B to test. Almost certainly some guide work or other documentation, probably some drivers, probably some hardware. I'm going to be going to Nevada for the 4th, heading out on the 3rd probably. So I will be working especially remote this week. But should be fine. I've got enough stuff to do that doesn't require me having hands-on hardware constantly, or I can at least bring some stuff with me. So that's it for me.
Totally. All right. Thanks, Sedacious. And last but not least, Summersoft.
Hello again. So last week on Rosy Pi, so I got the Ansible playbooks working on the Raspberry Pi up to the last couple steps. And then I just ran out of time because I had to board a plane super early on Friday because it's workcation week in Maine. So this week, bringing the Raspberry Pi would have kind of been a hassle. So Rosy Pi dev's on hold for this week, though I may start writing some actual tests instead of the dev stubs that I have right now. And then yesterday I started working on a dynamic way to build the module's support matrix that's on Read the Docs. Dan had put this issue in a couple days ago because it's out of date again, and it is kind of a pain to manually keep it updated. So I've got the Python script that builds basically a JSON file. It goes through all the definitions, and then it goes through each board's mpconfig.make to see what isn't included. And then now all I have to do is over the next couple of days, I'll probably work the Sphinx side so that it'll use a Jinja template and then update it that way. And that's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Summersoft. And that is it for status updates. We next have In the Weeds. We don't have any topics currently, so if you have a topic for In the Weeds, now is the time to post it in our text channel or in the notes. In general, In the Weeds is a section for us to have longer form discussions about things. I don't think anything came up that we really needed to talk about, so somebody's adding something, maybe not. I'll vamp just for a little while. But yeah, so we have this every week. We obviously don't always need it, but some fun discussions can come up with that. I don't see anything. I don't see anybody typing in our Discord channel, so I'm just gonna wrap us up. Thank you, everybody, for joining this meeting. It happens every week at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern on our Discord channel. Everybody's welcome to join. The link for our Discord channel is adafru.it/discord. Go there, chat with us on the CircuitPython text chat, and then we'll be in the voice chat during the meeting. Meetings are recorded, so beware of that. They get posted to youtube.com/Adafruit, Diode Zone occasionally, and on podcast services around the globe. Check that out. That's a great way to get caught up if you're new to CircuitPython. And along with the recordings, you'll have a link to the notes that have time codes in it. So if you miss a meeting and don't want to watch the whole hour-ish long or listen to the hour-ish long meeting, you're welcome to just glance at the notes and skip around to what you're interested in. And if you want all the news that's fit to print for Python on microcontrollers, the Adafruit runs a Python for microcontrollers newsletter. Goes out every Tuesday, so it'll go out tomorrow. If you have stuff that you're working on with CircuitPython, or you know news stories, that's developed in the open at github.com/Adafruit/CircuitPython-weekly-newsletter, I believe. If contributing to newsletters is your jam, we'd love to help. If you just want to subscribe, you can go to adafruitdaily.com and get all of that good information to your inbox once a week. No spam, just newsletter. Anyway, I think that's it. And thank you to everyone who made it this week. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Adios.